What's up guys, David here. Hope you guys are having a great day. As you can see, super candid video. I'm here mixing. I actually just finished the mix. And I have a question for you. Because I was on the phone with a friend of mine, a fellow mastering engineer, which you probably know, Maor Applebaum. And we were talking on the phone and he was asking me what I was doing, and I was mixing again. I told him like, yeah, I just finished mixing. I just sent out the mix to a client and one thing led to another. And he asked me, how do you send out your mixes? Do you send your mixes loud? Do you send your mixes limited? And we got into this conversation and I said, absolutely not. I don't. I never did. And I also never had any issues with that. And I'm gonna actually show you an example that is pretty much a flagship of how I send my mixes to the client. And in this case, I'm also mastering this album, as you know, these days is very often the case. And he was also asking me, if you mix and master the record, do you send the master? And I'm like, no, I absolutely don't. I send the mix. And the client needs to approve the mix, and the mix needs to sound like a record. I don't delegate anything to mastering. I tell the client, if you like the mix, the master is going to sound, you know, slightly better and a lot louder. That's pretty much it. And again, I never had any issues, but we were both complaining as mastering engineers that many times we get sent mixes that are smashed already and very limited. And this is because some mixing engineers out there, they just send the mix to the client to be approved and they just limit the crap out of it. And I know why this happens, right? It's because their clients required them to send the mix loud enough so that they can compare it to their reference tracks, which is kind of silly because those are master tracks. So in any case, you are comparing a mix to a master, which it's okay, you know, it's fair game. Like I said, I always do this. I always send my mix and I don't limit it to oblivion. And I'm gonna show you exactly how I do it and what I do it. And I never had a problem. I never had a client saying, oh, this is too low, or I never had a mix bumped or being asked for a revision because I didn't send it loud enough. Never. And my question for you guys is, do you do this? Do you send your mixes limited and loud? And if you do, why you do it? It's a legit, genuine question, because I don't understand if I'm lucky and my clients understand. Of course, I tell my clients, you know, this is the mix. It's not mastered. Turn the volume up. That's it. That's all you have to do. And again, I'm well aware that on one hand, I am blessed to work with like pretty much 90% of my clients give me so much freedom, right? Sometimes I don't even get, many times, most of the times, I don't even get reference mixes. Like, hey, this is my reference. Like most times I'm the one asking. And then if I ask, I've been, you know, I get sent something to reference to. Otherwise, you know, I'm just that lucky, I guess, that people just say like, do your thing. Like we like what you do and just do it. So this is a normal day when I send a mix out. So like I said, I just finished this mix, right? And as you can see, this is like a regular mix. Is not even that many tracks. It's not a high track count mix, probably a 50 tracks mix, if at all. This is a low BPM and pretty minimalistic arrangement. It's just electronic drums, a bunch of synths and vocals, just one vocal and a couple of background. So it's not a dense mix. It's not a high energy or a mix that is supposed to be super loud even when mastered. It's like I said, a low BPM, so will not measure that high, generally speaking. And it's a dark wave song. The artist is Sydney Ballet. And this at the top here is my mix. You can see it, okay? And this is what I sent to the client. Now, let me show you. This, the first VLM, right? This one, what the mix when I print it measures. So if I play it, We are measuring -14 short term, -15 long term, right? On the VLM. What I do, as you can see, I have plenty of headroom, right? So if we look at my peak level, it peaks at -3, right? That's how much headroom I have before the 0, right? So what I usually do is I open a limiter, any limiter. It happens to be Pro L2 because what I do is literally nothing. So you can see that I am basically, okay, so this is what I'm doing. I am basically using that 2.5 dB of headroom. We can say it would be equivalent to normalize it, right? But at the same time, I'm hitting what, 0.5 to 1 dB of limiting, which is obviously a lot less of what we're gonna end up doing in mastering, right? It's pretty much almost the same as normalizing to 0. I just, you know, chop off 0.5 dB. And I end up with this file here, which is called Mix3 level, just to differentiate. So is at a listening level, which you can see from this VLM. Let's not play both at the same time. It's -10 short term and -11 long term, which is a pretty normal listening level. And of course, it's not going to be as loud as masters, but like I said, at least my clients know it's now mastered. Turn the volume up. And I'm not considering those cases in which you get sent a rough mix that is smashed to oblivion. In those cases, I understand, yet I am 100,000% disagreeing and against enabling that kind of behavior. You need to talk to the client and say, like, look, the rough mix, most likely, I have never heard a rough mix that was smashed to oblivion sounding good, right? They get used to it, but it doesn't sound good. Never heard one. So you need to understand, like, look, the rough mix is a rough mix. It doesn't sound good. Whoever smashed it to, you know, give it to you and so you could listen to it loud. But that's, sometimes in mastering you can get to that level. Many times you can get even louder. But some of those rough mixes are really obnoxiously smashed to levels that are not even healthy for mastering, right? So communication, I think it's the key, because at the end of the day, you gain absolutely nothing from smashing a mix. You give the client a bias, and if you send it to a mastering engineer, you just do such a disservice to the song and to the mastering engineer. You make his work so much harder, and again, at the end of the day, I can't think of any benefit, you know, and that's why I'm asking generally, like, why? Like, why a -10 LUFS is not a normal, perfectly acceptable listening level to approve or ask for a revision for a mix? Because I can play this thing half of my volume and it's way louder for anybody to stand in front of my monitors for more than 2 minutes. So I can't imagine, right? Probably even if I sent the mix without my 2.5 dB would be enough, but I still do it because, you know, just, you know, at least maximize the space, the headroom that you have. There's nothing wrong with that. And definitely in mastering, we're going to do more than, you know, 0.8 dB of limiting. So why not? It's also annoying if it's way too low. So I do understand it to some extent. Part of this goes back to, you know, mixing with a limiter on your 2-bus. I made many videos about it, long and drawn out discussions. My thought on that is well documented. Let's put it this way. Like, look at this is my mix. Look at my crest factor. And this is not a pushed mix. This is a pretty chill, relaxed, dark wave mix. And this is my crest factor. Do you know how easy it is at this point to bring this mix up to -6. Any mastering engineer worth a dime wouldn't even sweat and wouldn't even have to compromise anything, because the crash factor is, it's not that bad. And I didn't even clip my converter, which, I could have, and I could have chopped off easily a dB.5 and make this already coming out of here at -7. And then, we'll steal some dynamics when you clip the converter, it's not chopped off, bring it down to level for mastering, and then add whatever I need to add. But this is not a track that, first of all, I felt the sound of clipping converters would fit. It also doesn't need to be -4 or 5, so there's no need to. I'd rather have good dynamic and good movement. You can see the mix is very dynamic, and it's at the same time very dense. So I am, again, confused, but I wonder, my question is there something that, I'm missing as to why people do that? Or that's just it? So this is the video. Let me know in the comments down below, what is your experience as a mix engineer or master engineer? What are your thoughts on it? And by the way, I have 2 new mixing courses on the website. One is a female fronted rock, and the other one is heavy sound of 90s. Both are great courses. They're doing very well. People are loving them, so check them out. If you want to support the channel, use a super thanks, grab some merch, and if you want access to the library here of exclusive mixing and mastering videos, click the join button, become a MixBuzz TV member. See you next time.